Okay, so now we are live. So hello everyone, my name is Yasmin, and today we'll guide this conversation. We will talk about police body cameras, but just let me explain about how TNT works. TNT is a community where we come to communicate in English, Spanish, French, and also Italian. So we are not here to judge you, but to help you. And that's it. It's not a class. We don't have corrections here. And let's start introducing ourselves. So Jefferson, can you start introducing yourself?
Of course, my friend. Good morning, I'm Jefferson. I live here in Goiânia, Goiás. I'm economist, professor of Catholic University of Goiás. And it's a pleasure to be here to talk about police body cameras.
Very good. Thank you so much, Jefferson. So, as you know, my name is Ming. I'm 21. I live in São Paulo. I work as a teacher. And that's it about me. I think we can start our conversation with the first question. What is police brutality? So, Jefferson, how would you define this?
Brutality. That's a good question. You just take care about this question, but let's go ahead. I think it's brutality when the police can attack some guys, or can abort some guys, to talk with some guys with the not the right way, with not think about the human rights, maybe like this. And they can use some instruments that are not adequate for this kind of brutality. Maybe it's not so good. You can injure the guy, or even you can kill the guy. For me, this is not the right way, and it's not good for our society, because you can create a distance between the population, especially in the poor population, the poor guys, and the police, maybe something like this.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I totally agree with you. I think it's something really difficult to define. But yeah, I think it is when like police attacks people. We know that sometimes some people say, oh, but there was a reason to do this, but I don't believe there are reasons to attack someone, even if the person was doing something that you don't agree or that are not accepted, like for the society. I think sometimes it's about conversation and not about like violence. And so, talking about this, most police officers are trustworthy and fair. Do you agree or disagree?
Oh my gosh, today's the day. The trustworthiness and fairness of police, I think, can vary for individual basis. I think you can't be generalize the entire situations. So I think it's not it's not so easy to answer this question, because sometimes you have a lot of police officers who are dedicated, that are trustworthy, that committed with justice, that have information about the case, and that's so good. In this situation, I think it's not abuse conducted, and not the case the abuse of power by some officers. I think you have no problem. If you, for example, have information about some guy and he is not a good guy, he committed something, it's not so good for our society. So I think this is, I agree. And this is trustworthy. And in this case, it's fair. But sometimes the public trust can be influenced by not transparency, as I said, not about accountability. It's not good training. We see sometimes this kind of police officers in Brazil are not have not trained, specially trained. And what else? Sometimes he's not engaged, and sometimes in community engagement, for example. One example, you go to a community, you know nothing about that community, like in Rio de Janeiro, in São Paulo. So you can have a terrible situation because you're not committed, you don't know the situation of that community. So I think it's not so good, and you can't have a very good experience with this guy. So in this case, it's a kind of discrimination. You can't discrimination only because you are an officer. I think this is not so good. So you must think about this. So the answer, it depends the situation. You can be fair or can be not fair. You can agree and you cannot agree. In my case, just to finish, I believe in police officers most of the time, because the role of these police officers is to guarantee for our society security.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, and I was thinking about this because, like, I think in all the professions that we have people that we can like trust and people who we can't trust. So I think it depends on the person too, and it's not about like the profession, but it's about the person too. And so welcome back, Israel. And so can you introduce yourself for us and answer the second question?
Sure, Yasmin. Okay. My name is Israel. I'm 30 years old. I live in Fortaleza, here in Brazil. And I'm a network engineer. I work with IT, and I'm here in TALKNTALK to improve my Spanish and English, and for professional goals. So that's why I'm here. Second question: most policy officer are still worth or fair? Do you agree or disagree? Most policy. What it mean, trustworthy?
If you can trust, se você pode confiar.
Okay. Well,
So what do you think?
For the most policy, I believe yes. You know, there depend on the. It's not specific here. I believe the question if it's in Brazil or other part of the world, because you know, if you think policy in Colombia, for example, there are a lot of corruption policy. So here in Brazil, I don't know, I can maybe, yeah, we can trust for the most part of the group of policy here. So, but we need to have a, how can I say, you know, be careful. You know, we need to be careful because, you know, it's not, no, it's one of the fields that we need to trust, you know, because it's to protect us, to save us, but there are a lot of corruption here, so we need to be aware that it's a touch subject to thinking about, because depending of the location here in Brazil and other parts of the world, there's a this behavior that it's complicated for any reasons. You know, there are some cops is involved for something that I don't know how can I say this, but it's you know, it's human being like us. So depending on the situation, it's not so good, and we need to be careful. You know, so but in general, I believe we can trust. That's right.
Very good. Yeah, and like we were talking about like policy brutality too. So Jefferson, have you ever seen someone suffering policy brutality?
No, never in my life, never. In person, never. In person, never. And I don't like to watch a TV about this, about crimes. I never watch this kind of. I never watch news from TV, never. So I have no. Sometimes I listen, I watch it. Some guys talking about this. Even my wife. Did you see somebody? Did you see this situation? But I don't care about this. This is nothing. The things that I like to read and to watch. I don't like this kind of thing.
Yeah, I stopped to watch the news, to watch TV because of this, because we can only see like bad news.
Yeah.
So, and you, Israel, have you ever seen?
Sorry, could you repeat?
Yeah, have you ever seen someone suffering policy brutality?
No, I never see. Yeah, I've been living in Brasilia, capital of Brazil. So there it's in most neighborhood, the policy is very polite in most part, but depending on the situation, you know, if you are on the Palácio do Planalto in Brasilia, you can, or maybe on, I don't know, how can I say, rodoviária, we can see a lot of, I saw on the news recently, some group of policy fight with some people that sell things on this spot on Brasilia. So I just see on the news, but physically, I never see before.
Yeah, I saw like this happening in my neighborhood. So, but I saw because of like the TV. I was watching other things, and it was like they were streaming this. And so, about the number 3, let's start with you, Jefferson. Why are some policy departments testing out body cameras? So what do you think is the reason?
The reason this is part of our international program, human rights. and all the police must use a camera. We see when you travel abroad, I saw this so many times in Europe, even China and United States and Canada, it's very common to see this kind of thing. And this is so good for accountability, for transparency, because body cameras can provide objective and unbiased control or recorded when you have the interactions between police officers and the public. It's very interesting. The way we can have transparency about sometimes when have events during incidents. And this is so good. It's so good. And in this case, it's very good because you have evidence collection. It's impossible you deny something because the body camera footage can serve as a valuable evidence in the incident, even in criminal investigation. So this is so good for the courts, so good for the prosecutions and the court proceedings and so on. So you have provided visual and all the records that you can put in a dispute in court. I think it's very good, very interesting. At the end of all of this, you can have the determination to guilt or not to guilt, or to transform in innocent some kind of incident. Yesterday, I was watching a film about this, very interesting, especially about black guys in the United States. Oh my God. Sometimes it's terrible. But now the situation has changed a lot with the use of these cameras. So it's changing a lot.
I think it's a way to both parts overthink about what they will do, because sometimes a person, I will do this, but they will have like something against me, like a way to prove that I did something wrong. So maybe it's better if I didn't do. So, and like, how might body cameras benefit like the people, the people who live in the places? Can you think?
Yeah. It's so good. As I said, you have transparency, you have accountability. It's so good. You can show the evidence. This is not my case, and the police can use. Did you kill somebody, or do you collide your car with the other car? So you have evidence, and this is so good because in our society we live with a lot of conflict resolutions. And the best way to solve or to resolve the dispute, these allegations, maybe some kind of misconduct, it's providing objective accounts of the incidents. And the best way to provide this is with the camera. The camera, you can to show this is the situation. And I think it's so good for our for the civilians, for the human rights today, as I said, the human right. And just to finish, this is so good because you can have public perception and trust about the police. It's good for us, in my case, as a civilian, and good for the police officer. You can trust better the situation, than you can improve the trust about this relationship.
Yeah, I totally agree, because like when someone, I don't know how to say this, but denunciar, you will have a way to prove if what they are talking is it true or not true. So what concerns might civilians have about police body cameras? Like what to do? Maybe we needed to know about this.
I think no one. What's the problem to film you? No problem about me. I never have this situation. In my case, I never have this situation. But I imagine no problem. What's the problem? Talk with the police that I could leave my car and talk with the police. For me, it's no problem. I have no concern about this. I'm not a killer man. I never will kill somebody, so I have no problem with this. I think that the only situation may be to collide my car. It's kind.
Yeah, I think we just need to worry if we are doing something wrong. But if you don't do this kind of thing, it's okay for you. Yeah. So
Yeah,
it's not a
let's
problem.
imagine a situation you drink a lot of beer. Let's imagine you drank a lot of beer, and now you see the police with the camera. How can you imagine this situation? How can you tackle this situation?
Yeah, I really don't know. Maybe, yeah, like if you are driving, you will need to pay a tax, something like this, because you were doing something wrong. Yeah. So, and talking about this, and we can talk about the discrimination that police like suffers too. And is discrimination by police a problem in your community? If yes, in what way? If no, why not?
I can't, as I said, I can't evaluate because I never saw this situation.
And the opposite.
But I remember the situation in São Paulo, even with this new commander, this new governor, Tarcísio, né? Tarcísio, I think it's Tarcísio, against the use of camera. I remember the guys from Bolsonaro's administration against this. If you are against this kind, because maybe you can show the reality, you can bias it, the reality, the way you can see the reality. Sometimes maybe it's not so good. So if you have discrimination, maybe in some case, I really don't know, I can't judge, but maybe in communities in different ways, you can, I really don't, I can't imagine, but let's imagine, okay, let's imagine a community with marginalized community, Brazil is called favelas, and you have experienced this kind of discrimination or disproportionate target by law enforcement of the agents or the police. And I think this is not so good. This is a kind of discrimination that can manifest. Let's imagine about duration, profiling, access, use of force, and some kind of this, and about race, ethnic, religions, and so on. Maybe. And in this case, I think it's a big problem. It's a big problem.
Yeah, I think it's a problem here in where I live. It's not a huge problem, but like we have many people that they sell things in the places that are not appropriate, you know. So I think this is something that the police like suffers a lot to control this kind of situation, because we know, okay, people want to work, but they are trying to work in a place that it's not allowed. And then they talk that the police is like they are bad and they are like attacking them for nothing too. So it's really complicated, and we had some problems because of this at a bus station. That, like, here in São Paulo, it's so common to see like many people selling things in a bus station. So, and sometimes you don't have a space to walk through the bus station because of this. So it's really complicated.
And where do you live in São Paulo?
I live in Grajaú.
Grajaú. And do you we're talking about a lot of situations that you saw. Do you think this such of discrimination can undermine the trust in the police? Do you think this can contribute to a social tensions sometimes? And maybe this is not good for your community, the security of your community?
Yeah, totally. But I don't think that, I don't know, like we don't have many control of the things here. Like we can see like many like police stations, or I don't know, just when the things are really bad that the police appears here, you know. So it's something really bad because they needed to be here when the things are not happening too. But I think it's not a problem just of the police. It's about like the organization, you know, how they organize this. So yeah, but I think it can affect the way that people trust in them. And talking about the financial cost of equipping police forces, some people even argue that it is excessive, that is too much money. As you were talking, do you think the costs are worth the benefits?
Yes, really worth. I see no problem. We can see this is very common in many police departments worldwide. It's very common. You see this, especially in Rio, in São Paulo. You have money, no problem. What's the problem to buy a camera? It's not so expensive to buy a camera. You have a lot of camera. You can have amounts of camera, and the government may pay less tax to buy a camera. I see no problem about this. I can understand this. This guys argue that excessive, and the police must spend money with another things. I think that's not the problem. That's not the point. Because as I said, worldwide, as a movement of the human rights, they are using these body cameras. It's very common. It's very common. It's better to use these body cameras that use how do you say revolver? How do you say in Portuguese, in English?
How? What
A
is
gun.
Yeah.
A gun. Yeah, a gun. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think like the government spend a lot of money with with bullshit, with things that we don't need, that it's something that we really need. So why they are complaining about this? So,
I
and
really don't know who we complain about this. It's somebody that is against the way the police officers can act. Maybe some against this. Maybe militias. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, maybe. And like talking about this, you said that you don't see like a problem, and I don't see problems too. But do you consider police cams a violation of privacy? Like, do you think that people can consider this?
I can't imagine an answer as yes. It's not a violation of privacy. Not a violation. If you think about smart cities or intelligent cities, in all the big cities of the world, you see a lot of cameras. It's no problem. I remember when I was in Shenzhen, in Shanghai, in China, a lot of cameras. You can see everything that you try to do wrong. You see the cameras, immediately you see the police officer telling something about this. You must take care about this. It's not a fire to fire you a fee, but to use some words expression, or you must take care about this, about that. For example, about the cigarette that you threw by the sidewalk. It's very interesting. And for me, this is not a violation of privacy. You must have this, no problem. What's the problem about these scams? I see no problems. But maybe, I really don't know, maybe in some situation they can use this in a not appropriate way. Maybe.
And like you said about smart cities, and what about like drones? Do you think it's something good like to use to control what is happening like on the neighbors or things like this?
No, you can control in the neighbors. For example, I live in a condo. Here it's not permitted, the drums here. It's not permitted. The law can't permit this kind of thing. You can use the drones for a party, something like this. But
Yeah,
in our condo, it's not permitted. Drones is not permitted.
but what do you think about if the government, the police used these like to control the things? Would you consider as a like invasion of privacy or not?
In your home?
Yeah, in your neighbor.
Your neighbor? No problem. No problems. If you see the drone by streets, no problem. But you can enter in your house to see what are you doing.
Yeah.
It's impossible. This is against the law. That I know it's against the law.
Yeah, totally.
I don't know if in São Paulo it's common, this is the use of drone in houses.
No, I don't think so. I didn't see. So, and so talking about this, I think we have time to answer the number 9. What would happen if police body cameras recorded randomly and police officers and civilians didn't know if they were being recorded or not? What do you think?
That's the point. I think the police will never ask if he can record you. I think he'll never, because it's very. I really don't know. I really don't know. As I said, I saw this in Canada, United States. It's very common when see the police. He put the camera to record him, talk with you. It's very common. It's very common. This is part of the law. So I see no problem about this. And what is the second? And the civilians didn't know if they were being recorded. Why not being recorded? Even where I live here in a condo. In some situations, for example, when I go to enter to my condominium, what I need to see, they are recording us. All the guys that go in and out are recorded. It's very common. If you go to a supermarket, go to a shopping, you have a lot of cameras. They are recording you, and you never can say no. I won't be recorded. I can understand this question.
Oh, this question is like if it's not something that the police who is using the body camera will control, but someone, I don't know, in the police station will start to record now, to record like in a randomly way. How can I explain this? It's like aleatório, you like,
Yeah.
if the police talks to me, they could be recording me, but if they talk to you, maybe they are not recording. But it's not the police who is using that will control. It's like totally randomly.
But what kind? You were a police officer? You were.
Yeah, maybe.
In this case, I'm against. You can record randomly something about the situation. So that's why you must take care today. You must take care what you're talking about, what with are you talking about. You must take care about this. Because sometimes I use this, it's not common, sometimes I use my students recording some conversation and put in Instagram, Facebook like this. And I think you must take care about this. Really take care about this. It's not so good. You can take a pictures from somebody and put them on Facebook. This is Yasmin. Yasmin was here doing this and that, and good things and bad things. You need to take care about this.
Yeah, very good. And do you think that these cameras will benefit more the police officers or the community, the society?
I think both. The police officer, it's better. It's better because they can collect evidence. It's so good. You can have footage. This can serve as valuable evidence in some case about criminal investigations. So good about persecutions, about a lot of situations. You can provide a visual and audio recorded. So this is so good. In this case, you can refute it, the claim. So the audios and the visuals can show the situation. You can deny this situation. In this case, is so good, can benefit not you, the police officers. And if you think the other side, let's imagine your situation, and the guys with a lot of evidence that you're not corrected. You cross the, how do you say, semaphore, the post, I don't remember, semaphore, the cross. Okay.
Oh my God. Yeah, I don't remember too.
You cross the semaphore and maybe yellow. You see the camera you can provide, no problems. Yellow and not red, no problem about this. So this may be good for the civilians to prove that the civilians were not wrong in this situation. And this is good. And this is good because you can reduce the conflict of resolution. So you can resolve dispute, you can resolve problems about allegation of misconduct and all was not misconducted. Can you see the camera? Can you see the recorded? So in this case, maybe so good. In short, I think the use of camera is came to last.
Yeah, I totally agree with what you said. I think it will be really good. And because like nowadays we can see many accidents happening. So it's a way to really a way to prove if you were doing the right or the wrong thing. And I think it would be really nice like to prove this kind of thing. And would you like to add one more question? Like, would you like to create a question?
Yeah, I think, yeah, let's continue with the discussions. I think about the legal protection today, if you think about the body camera, this is so good for you avoid false accusations or unjust claims. I think this is so good for us because this can provide a lot of accounts, a lot of evidence about an event. So this can help us a lot and can help the officers too against legal actions. Can you imagine the situation in the past? A lot of guys that about false accusation or unjust claims about this and that. And I think in this case, we relieve all this situation. It will be so good for our society. And as I said, this is part of a program, a human rights program. So I think this is part of our new civilian society. This is part of responsibility, and this is so good for the law, or even by law in the case of my condo.
Yeah, I was talking, I think it was on Friday, about I don't know if you saw that AI is trying to know what people are thinking. Like they are trying to develop these like mind readers. And I was thinking that maybe, I don't know, in the same way that it's a bad idea, it's a good idea, like for the police, know if the people are planning to do something, like to commit a crime, if they really did something wrong. I don't know. What do you think about this?
Yeah, you said two things. The first one is the use of artificial intelligence. That I think a lot about this, about create jobs, about copy and paste, and something like this about artificial intelligence. And I work with this all the time because as professor, I lead with all this situation every day. I lead with this situation. But use artificial intelligence in the bad way, you was used a lot with Trump and Bolsonaro's and etc. We saw this and put the guys doing something or talking something that is not correct. It's fake and fake news. For example, with artificial intelligence, it's possible to put Yasmin talking a lot of bullshit and not Yasmin that talking. I can I can film you and you talking with your own accent and talk a lot of bullshit and it's not you. This is possible with artificial intelligence today. And I didn't know if you saw the video about Barack Obama talking a lot of bad things. And it's not available now, but they did this. They did this when he ran for president. A long time ago. It's not now, a long time ago. And the artificial intelligence now, it's terrible. It needs to take care about this. That's why I used to say to my wife, my daughters, you must take care about when you listen a phone call. I can put you, call me with your face, with your words, and it's not you. This is possible, yes. With artificial intelligence, it's possible. This, and I was seeing something very interesting. They created a personality like Rihanna, singing the same, the accent, everything like Rihanna, singing a different music. It's not the same music, the music of Rihanna, but it's very interesting. And if you don't know Rihanna, if you don't know the accent of Rihanna, you say, this is Rihanna singing. And it's not true.
Yeah, I am
Rihanna,
seeing
yeah.
I'm seeing a lot of this kind of thing happening, and it's really weird. I don't know, maybe I think it's a time that they needed to stop. The government needed to try to stop people to create these, to develop like laws, and then they can continue creating, because we don't have laws about this. So it's really difficult to control.
Yeah, can you imagine the situation in police officer recording something about you and it's not true?
Yeah.
You were a poor guy, you live in favelas in São Paulo, and I accused you of something, creating a false accusation or unjust.
Yeah.
Terrible. Yeah.
I can imagine what we can expect in these next months. So it's really complicated.
That's why I used to say you must take care about your image today. You must take care. You must take care about Facebook. You must take care about Instagram. Even when you publish some kind of things in LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the best. I think it's the best platform for you, for good jobs and looking for work, something like this. But you need to take care.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. And it was really nice to talk to you about this topic. And I want to thank